All right, so let's set a few ground rules before we start this so that it'll be easier for each and every one of us to move forward. I believe everybody of you is wanting to know about Arizona State University, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I am. I wanted to ask regarding a general topic. Like,
Okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. We can cover that as well. But like, let's head to one question at once so that we can elaborately talk about it. And if that happens to be the question on anyone else's book, it'd be answered as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And if you have
yeah.
questions in between relating to that question, we can answer that elaborately as well. Okay. All right. Pooja, do you want to start with your question?
Yeah, firstly, I would like to know about job opportunities after completing MS in construction management. So, and what are the assistantships and other fellowship opportunities in, and how to approach these opportunities?
Okay.
Yeah. So these are my
Well,
two questions.
all right. Yeah, no, that's one of the most common questions with a lot of students
Yeah.
have is about the job opportunities. Because ideally, most students who come to who plan on even pursuing their education in America come from
Yeah.
humble background, so I've seen a lot of my friends coming with some education loans and things like that. So job opportunities in construction, from what I have seen, so I came here in 2017, and since then I've seen a lot of construction jobs out here, and that's pretty state specific as well. So, if you guys are talking about Arizona State University in particular,
Yeah.
Arizona State as a whole has a lot of funding when it comes to federal funds, state funds, and these kinds of funds are responsible for the infrastructure growth. Like, let's say you are wanting to build a road in an area which it's facing problems with roads. So the state or the federal government usually spends a lot of money in trying to help these states or the particular area for continuing some projects. And so I've seen, like, when it comes to Arizona in specific, I've seen a lot of companies actively have a lot of funds for doing a lot of infrastructure work, as well as I've seen a lot of companies who have the local communities and projects that are relating to special projects like education buildings or airports facilities and breweries and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
So when it comes to applying for jobs, I feel Arizona is one of the states that has ample of opportunities for
Okay.
construction specifically. And so far, so I haven't seen anybody. I mean, people have taken time to get jobs, but I haven't seen anybody who hasn't really got a job, or had to come back to India just because they could not find a job. So that's not
Okay.
the point of
Issue.
concern at all, and shouldn't be, because after you come to a university, I think you have to make the best use of the resources available. Like, right from starting networking, right from creating a good resume, right from interacting with other, like your professors or seniors who have been working in different companies. So when it comes to job opportunities, rather than worrying about the opportunities you'd have after graduating in construction industry, you should worry about using the best resources in the university to make yourself a name, like make a name for yourself, not just in
Okay.
school, but with the people around in the construction industry. So another example for that would be, I've seen a lot of students on ASU campus participating in the clubs. Like, you have the Construction Management Association of America Student Club, you have Design Build Institute of America as a student club. So these clubs on campus invite a lot of companies for hiring or just teaching some techniques in the construction industry relevant to your classes. So if
Okay.
you guys make an active or initiation and, being a volunteer or trying to reach out to people, I think job is not something that I would worry about. And answering the second question relating to getting opportunities for assistantships or uh,
Assistantship. Yeah.
I think one of the best approach to do that would be like going out on the websites of the university you guys are in or wanting to uh, proceed to. Just go to the university website, look for the professors. Like ASU has listed all the professors who are working in their staff, and
Okay.
all what you want to do is just go download their resumes, and their resumes would have what work are they currently up with or what kind of research do they do. And that would be a good point of contact if you think like if there's a professor who's doing a research on some inventing some scheduling software or doing some research on some safety aspect of the industry, and that is if that is something that interests you, you have his email address and contact number. Just write an email saying, "Hey, this is so and so, and this is my resume. I'm a fellow admit to the fall 2021 at ASU for Construction Management course, and these are my interests. Like my interest aligns to the similar work that you are currently researching on. And is there any opportunity with you that I can work on for?" And this is the way you can create. This is one of the ways you can create an opportunity for your research and assistantship sitting in India. And I think that's the best way to do that. Um, Apart from that, I think you can also reach out to your seniors who are already like through LinkedIn, most probably to see who are the PhD students, because most of the PhD students are working under some professors. They would be another point of kind of reach out to knowing the opportunities for assistantship. If that answers your question, does it?
Yeah, and also I would like to know my experience is in construction management, construction finance, like technical valuation. These were my profiles. I have 2 years of experience. So will I get opportunity to work with construction finance firm and firms like consulting firms like CBRE, JLL? So how to approach
You
possible?
have one course which is relating to finances in the construction, but it teaches you pretty basic stuff like reading the balance sheets and things like that. Honestly, I don't have an answer to that question specifically, but I can definitely advise you to reach out to the professor who conducts the finance class of construction. So you can just go out on the ASU website and look for the classes, and you would see a courses relating to the finances in construction. And just look at the professor name on that. I don't remember his name on the top of my head, but you can just reach out to him, sharing your interest and wanting to know about opportunities in that field. I think that will be the best line of action. That's what I can advise you right now, Pooja.
Okay. And are there profiles for
Pooja, could
planning
we could
guest?
we could we could we just do it turn wise?
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sorry about
Yeah.
that. Karan, do you want to proceed with your question?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I've got admits in ASU, UT Arlington, and I'm expecting to get into like Texas A&M as well. I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay.
So I'm having a tough time choosing a college right now
Okay.
because the coursework is good in all these colleges.
Okay.
And the main difference that I've seen is Texas is a good state as well for construction.
Right.
And if you consider like the investment you're putting in, and if you have constants, I think like according to the universities, every year I'll be spending $10,000 more if I choose ASU.
Right.
So I want to know if that's a tiny bit of investment in a long run. Is it worth it for ASU? The extra investment that I'm going to put in if I choose to go to ASU.
I think that's a great question, honestly, and I really like the fact that you're not one of those who's just asking a question, but I think you have done a little research about it. So when it comes to university selection, I've always best realized after coming here that the name and the reputation of the university is just a second thing. It's something that you can let your friends know that you went to some better university which is known a lot, like which is talked about more often in India than others. But when you talk about Texas and Arizona, you're right. Like, a lot of construction opportunities are in Texas as well. There's so many companies that I'm aware of having their headquarters in Texas for construction. And Texas is such a big state that there's a huge amount of funding for infrastructure projects, in particular, because now that I work in an infrastructure industry, I have been keeping a little information on the infrastructure side as compared to residential and commercial construction. So I can definitely vouch that Texas has a lot of opportunities. All these big companies like Kiewit, Turner, DPR Constructions have their offices in Texas, and I believe when it comes to opportunities of finding jobs, Texas is definitely a good state. And when you talk about the second parameter, which is about the tuition fees and the overall expenditures, you're right. Like, Arizona State University could be on a little expensive side as compared to any of the universities in Texas, be it A&M or Arlington. Now, a common misconception amongst most of the students, rather like, aspirants from India is like, why go Texas Arlington? Because it's known for being another India, like, a lot of students from
Yeah.
India is just going to Texas Arlington. And you might have heard about a lot of views saying or listening to things like, you don't feel like you're in the United States and you don't get an exposure. But apart from all that, you'd see Indians in all the universities, like at ASU, just to be more precise. Um, some even call it like Andhra State University, just looking at the people like, from southern side of India being here. Like, in just to quote you an example, in a class of computer, the strength was 180 students, and you would see about 170 or 160 students to be from India. So
Oh,
I think what you're trying to think on the lines of investing, or the returns on the investment that you give out is really important. And if you're saving $10,000, that's a big amount. That is really a big amount. And I would definitely, if I were in your spot right now, I would definitely go with the university in Texas. And also, it's not just limiting to your tuition fees for now. If you look at
yeah.
the longer picture, if you start making money, right, even from your part-time jobs to your full-time course, you'd be saving a lot on your taxes, especially just with the state tax, because Texas do not have any state taxes. So whatever that percent of your income you're spending in taxes is also saved. Also, I believe, from what I've heard from my friends, that the cost of living in Texas is not that expensive in certain areas. Like, if you talk about Arlington, it's not as expensive as a city to live in, as much as is Tempe. Although Tempe is not like really, really expensive, as expensive as you would see any city or like, city in California or New York per se. But I think that's a very good calculation you have at the back of the mind, and it doesn't really do has to do anything with your opportunities. I have a friend, like, proudly to tell you guys, quote an example, who went to Texas Arlington and who has a better paying job than myself. So it has nothing to do with the university you go, with like, the amount of opportunities you get, especially with the compensation. So I think, Karan, just to answer the question in a nutshell, would be yes, finances do matter, and if you're saving a considerable amount in another state, I think that would be a better option than just choosing ASU.
Thanks a lot. That cleared a lot of my doubts. Yeah.
All right, Rakesh, what's your question?
Yes, sir. Is work experience mandatory for further jobs? As I'm pursuing my BE Civil Engineering.
Okay.
Right now, I'm fourth year, so I'm planning to do masters without work experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it okay for further job prospects? Means,
Absolutely not. No, I'm just kidding. In fact, a lot of students do come without any experience, Rakesh. I've seen so many, even myself, like, I did not get any experience in India before coming to the United States. So all what you have to be keen on is, like, if Like a lot of recruiters here look for some experience, and that is the experience you can get after coming here. And how can you do that is by actively participating in networking. Like, so one of these clubs that I just told Pooja about, that also are in different, not just on ASU, but even Texas Arlington has a student chapter for Construction Management Association of America. They have a student club on the campus. So just be a volunteer out there. Just reach out to companies. Keep a resume in your bag always. That could be a handy tool just to reach out to a lot of people you meet in your everyday life, and just hand them, just get their contact numbers and email address. They have your business card on which you'll have their email address and contact number. Just have those things. Reach out to them. Say, I am willing to voluntarily come and see one of your jobs. Is that okay? So these are the kind of experiences you can actually build once when you get back to or go to any universities. Or the other ways that I've seen commonly, a lot of students gain experiences from their part-time jobs as well. That's something where you can show that um, you're at least familiar with the American culture of work, be it even like a small job as a part-time job. So I think Indian experiences would matter to you in a way where you have some experience about working on the field, would help you better understand things when you study them. So one thing I really observed was students who had experiences in India, especially in the classes that I had those friends who had prior experiences. They could grasp the concepts pretty easily, and they had a lot of questions about different concepts because they have worked. Let's say, let's consider paving, for example. Like, if there's a course on paving and you have been working in a paving industry in India, and you have seen things happen a certain way, and what you see on the slides or the presentation is happening some other way, you can actually go out to the professors and discuss about those in more details, like, the way you did versus why is it being done this way. So I'm just giving you an example about paving in particular, but there are so many different strategies or methodologies in construction management for managing a project. So I believe the experiences in India would help to better understand the courses rather than, like, just for getting opportunities. A lot of recruiters I've seen, they look at your resume for experiences in India, and that is probably something they give due consideration. But for a fresh graduate who is wanting to start with a company on a, like, on the first role, all they expect is a willingness for you to learn as much as you're willing to learn. That is what really defines, and that's what most companies are looking, according to me. Does that answer your question, Rakesh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to Abhinay. Abhinay, what's your question?
Actually, you have already answered two of these questions, like how to like basically do networking and how to approach the TA or RA or any campus jobs. So those two are clear. So the third question is, I've just accepted the offer from Columbia University for construction engineering and management. I'm still not very sure to completely proceed with it, like give my documents for I-20 and all. I have already received admits from UIUC, Texas A&M, and I'm waiting for Purdue. So do you think it's the best idea to continue with Columbia, or should I wait? Because I've contacted with some Columbia University students, so they were not really impressed, or like they said that in construction there was not a very particular advantage that we were getting, even though we were getting a degree from Columbia University. So I was like wavering on that decision, and
Right.
I still have time. So I thought I should ask that, because um, it's a lot of money, as you know, and I would like to make as best decision as possible, and that is why I thought I should ask this question.
Right. No, that makes sense. Actually, Columbia is an Ivy League, right? I think it's one of the
Yeah.
Ivies. And I don't know if it's for all, but one of my friend, like, close one, went to an Ivy school. And I'm not sure on this, don't quote, but I think the fees for Ivy universities are a little higher than most of the state universities. Like private
Yes.
universities, of course, the fees are high, but I think the state universities are the one which comparatively have lower tuition fees, and Ivies definitely have like like the tuition fees are on the higher end. Uh, with that being said, when you have options from different universities, you said Texas and then Purdue potentially, I think it'll be worth the wait if Columbia is giving you the deadline, which is later to what the other universities demand from you. You know, if Columbia has a due date which is past, what do you know? Do you happen to know what's the last date to say a yes or no to Columbia?
Yeah, it was actually almost 10 days before.
Oh,
So
so it's
I thought
gone
I
already.
shouldn't like, yeah, I thought that I shouldn't just let it go. So I paid the deposit. I have accepted it, but
Okay.
still I can change it if I want to. So Purdue is yet to give an answer. Texas A&M has said yes, and I have UIUC, which is also a very great university.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I have accepted right now, but I can change it if I want to. So
Like I said,
that's
like I
why.
think that's what I told Karan as well. Like, I mean, Ivies do have a reputation. I don't want to go against people who have really struggled hard to get into Ivies. But from my experience, I've seen I haven't like I mean the name of the university, like even like yeah, we have been watching a lot of movies where you have seen graduates from Harvard and doing extraordinary things, and probably that might be one of the exposures these universities does and the reputations that they have gathered all year along. But if you're like in a field like construction, I would say it's better for students coming from international countries like India with a lot of debts. It's better to like take into consideration the return on investment. So if you're spending less upfront, that means you have less to worry about while paying off those debts. And like Karan mentioned, like $10,000 makes a big it's a big conversion in Indian rupees. So I think that could make a factor. Like it takes probably 4, 5 months to make 10,000 when you just start out in the construction industry on an average pay. So I think that definitely lowers down a little pressure off you. And I think the other universities that you listed, Abhinay, are also pretty good and like recognized. So I have to do a little research about Columbia. I haven't, but again, I would say if even your instincts are not going to go with Columbia and accepting an offer or like an admit from other universities which offers you better ROI, I would say I think that'll be my advice as well. Or if I were in your spot, looking at the fees, I would have made the decision because I had prioritized my financials pretty. My priority was my finances. I wanted to spend a certain budget on my education. That's what I did, and I think that's the reason why I went with the ASU. So
Right.
I'll leave that decision to you, Abhinay. I'm sorry, I don't know if I answered that question, but
No, it's fine.
okay. Pooja, do you have any other question?
No, you have answered almost.
Most of them? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Karan, do you have any question?
Yeah, one last question.
Okay.
So is there anything I need to prepare before I start uni? Something that will help me like start off better, like in
Yeah,
India right now.
right. No, that's another interesting question, and that's the reason why I think I had recorded a podcast with Carolina, who happens to be a close friend of mine. She's working in the construction industry in America for like over 6 years now, and I think we discussed on the podcast about. So the podcast is by the name The Honest Indian Question Show. You can watch it on or like hear it on
Sure.
Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere or even on Google Podcasts. So in that we had specifically discussed about a few opportunities or different things that you can get. One of which is credentials. Credentials don't go waste, but if you're taking those credentials for actually learning the industry, you're like there are beautiful LinkedIn learning courses about American construction industry. Okay. Um, so you can go ahead and look at those options. Another website that I personally referred to was lynda.com. That was one great tool where I had an access to a lot of different courses that teach you about estimation, that teach you about quantity takeoffs, how to use different softwares like P6. They have tutorials and courses on that. Just go ahead and do that. Those would also not only give you a certificate, but also give you an understanding of the basic user interface of how things work, and also give you a basic idea of how construction works in America, because those courses are all based on American construction industry. So I would definitely look at that. Apart from that, I think just just enjoy a little time in India, because when you come here, there are a lot of things that you got to look after. Like, it's not just your classes, but it's about, struggling to get a part-time job, and then getting your internships, and then managing your finances and everything else. So I would say don't stress out too much. There's a lot for you guys to do when you come to America to start studying in the courses. And that's when, once when you come here, that's when I'd advise you guys to make the best use of everything. You have a lot of professional clubs out on the campuses. You have professional development centers where you can review your resume, where you can request for a mentor to teach you how to interview and things like that. Those are the kind of basic things which we think we know, but in the American culture, there are different parameters and uh, points on which you're judged even in an interview. So I was getting a lot of rejects in the interviews just because of the way I was saying certain things which I thought were right, but were not according to the recruiters, until I got a mentor. Uh, um, um, and she let me know, like, the mistakes that I was making, that was completely subconscious. So there's a lot for you guys to do after you come on campus. So I would say all what you can do sitting home is, like, even a few of my friends applied for part-time jobs sitting back in India, when they're just about to come, probably a month or a couple of months before you get an admit, you have decided, you have paid off the fees and everything. That's when you can. So on ASU, you have a website, like, a portal on the website where they showcase all the job listings, and just go through what are the requirements for this job. Try and make a resume and a cover letter for each of these positions. So you got to make a resume and a cover letter for each job. You cannot use the same cover letter for each job. One of the little trick there, which we realized later in the later in after coming here, like after 3-4 months, was when you apply for these part-time jobs, they have some requirements listed for what the candidate they're looking, like what are the qualities they're looking at in a candidate. So those keywords should be on your resume in the first place, so that in the first round your resume actually goes through. And because most of the jobs that you would see on the portals or the part-time jobs have, I think, a software or something which accepts or rejects based on identifying the keywords on your resume corresponding to the requirements of the job. So those are the little things that you can work on sitting in India, but there is nothing more than that I can think of on the top of my head right now, Karan.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, that's good.
Rakesh, do you have any questions?
No, sir, that's it. I've got my answers.
Come on, I was hoping you guys would have good questions. I mean, you had good questions, not that it weren't good, but you have any more questions? Or Abhinay, Pooja?
Aditya,
No,
I want, yes.
Go ahead, Pooja.
Yeah, I want to know about certifications. So these some certification do matter for jobs.
It gives you an extra edge over a lot of students. Not that it's mandatory for you to get certifications, but I was advised by one of my professors to kind of have them. And one more thing that I want to share with you all is, like, when you come here, if you look at a certification, like, I was looking at one of the certifications called, I think it was called ACE, Associate Constructor Engineer, or yeah, it was called, no, it was just an AC certification. So it was an exam that you had to give, and after passing and qualifying that exam, you get a credential where they call you an associate constructor. So for that exam, I tried requesting the head of the department, which was Kenneth's 11 professor. Kenneth's 11 then. I believe even now he's the one responsible for construction management. But I just requested him that I want to appear for this credential thing, and the exam fee for that was like $200. And as a student without any job, I could not afford that, but I really wanted to give that. So he had actually helped me give a check of $200. He just sent me $200 to give and appear for that exam. So that is one thing you want to keep in mind as well. Like, if you look or find any credentials that you want to appear for, ask universities or some professors about any waivers, or if they are willing to help you in certain kind. That was one of the fluke that I just asked a professor for, like waiving off my fees, and he actually paid the, the the admission fee for that course, or like for that credential examination. So I would say, like, try after coming here, don't hesitate in reaching out to a lot of professors or seniors or anybody. The more you reach out, the more you get to know things. And the other piece of advice, I believe that I made a big mistake was, it's not a mistake, but I would say, like, try reaching, being with people who are not from India. I mean, the obvious reasons, because you are going to be pursuing your career in America. And this was the advice that I got from my mentor, which was like, I mean, the reason I could not understand the American culture better in my initial days was just because I was comfortable hanging around with my roommates and people from India, because that was a zone of comfort. But the more you come here and the more you expand your networks, make friends who are local or international from different countries, that's the best way you can explore different cultures, and that makes it more easy for you guys to even speak and represent yourself in front of the recruiters when they come in the career fairs. So that's another piece of advice I had. But is there anything else on you guys' end that you want to ask, or we can discuss? You can think. I mean, it's not something that you have to come up with right away, but is there anything else?
Which job profiles are more in US, so we can get easily job opportunities, like any specific job roles in construction industry?
So I think so. I can tell about different construction job roles that I've seen so far. A lot of people apply to, is like, a lot of students coming to construction management do come from an architectural background as well. And I've seen my architectural friends who pursue their masters in construction management or bachelors usually prefer going to the building information modeling or the virtual augmentation, where, like, you use all the CADing softwares and to build the project before you actually construct it out on the field. So building information modeling is a very, very like, trending and hot topic here in America, and it's gone way ahead in what we can imagine in India. Because the last time I ever spoke to one of my friend who pursues his career in civil engineering in India, they said that they were in talks about virtual augmentation, but in America it's an everyday thing. Like, a lot of projects, especially commercial and construction, where you have a lot of electrical lines and mechanical connections going everywhere in the building. Those are first looked at on a computer screen through some CADing softwares, and a lot of architectural students do prefer to going to job opportunities relating to those softwares and building information modeling or virtual augmentation. There's another kind of role where a lot of students really find fondness is towards estimation. So that is a field where a lot of students has to start doing some quantity takeoffs. Like, you have all the plans and drawings and typical sections, and you just have to figure out quantities. Bluebeam is one of the biggest softwares there, which a lot of students and a lot of companies here use for doing quantity takeoffs. So that's one thing you can keep on your list to do on by for the time you are in India. So estimation has that, and there are different softwares that most company uses for putting up a bid. So it's just like, so I think lynda.com again. So that's a great website where you'd see some courses on estimation and the softwares they use. Like the company I work for, we use a software called HCSS Heavy Bid. That's one of the softwares we use. But if you go out and look for estimation softwares on Google as well, you'd find so many videos and online tutorials for doing that. So estimation is another scope of work that a lot of students do proceed into job opportunities in that direction. Another one, which is the most common, is like being a field engineer or a project engineer. So in field engineering, project engineering, they even expect sometimes you to do little quantity takeoffs in the estimation role. Like what I mentioned under estimation is a part of engineering as well. So as an engineer, you're responsible for that. But again, there are more responsibilities, just like managing subcontracts or answering the request for informations or reading the specifications of a job, trying to provide the submittals relating to different categories. Like let's say if you're a general contractor and you have 10 subcontractors working one of which is an electrical subcontractor, one is a concrete subcontractor, the other one is a mechanical subcontractor. So you have to submit, like, if you're using a different kind of, let's say, just like, for example, a mechanical subcontractor, he is wanting to, like, your construction, the building that you're constructing has a lot of pipes that go, drainage pipes. So it has to, the owner gives you a specification for that project saying that like the pipe should be tested according to this standards and this is the material of the pipe that should exist. So you have to actually read those documents and understand and have a contact with the vendor or the supplier of that material and make sure, that material is meeting that specification. And this is all done through a process which is called the submittal process. And these are all the things that you'd learn after coming here, which were new to me when I first came here. So, but if you know that, that's great. Those are the kind of things that would definitely help you. So basically, field engineer is responsible for writing subcontracts, managing the subcontractors, writing purchase orders, doing the cost analysis, doing the time cards for the foremen, and things like that. So these are some different common types of job roles I've seen in the construction industry. And of course, you have to have some information about safety, and like, there's a body which is called OSHA, OSHA, which is Occupational Safety Hazard Administration, I believe. And that is the organization or the body which looks at the safety in construction all over America. So, these are the little things that you can start digging about just out of curiosity, what are the different classes. In fact, I would say just go on the website of the universities, look at the courses and the classes, and you can request the syllabus of those courses from your professors. So just request that and start going through those topics, if you're so curious and if you have some time on your hands. I think that would be another course of action which would start giving you ideas about reaching out to right people, And then you can be in touch with me if you need help about reaching out to anybody in particular or just needing any resources. If I have that, I'll be happy to share that with you all.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanna? Were you expecting a question that we didn't ask? Like you can answer it.
Yeah, I guess you did not ask what is the fees I'll be charging you guys for answering all this. Now, I think yeah, these are most common questions, and I think I've addressed most of the points that I felt like I should have been addressed when I was about in the same shoes and I was about to come here to pursue my careers. And like I said, I think it's one of the biggest decisions that most people make to go out, study, stay away from parents, family, out of comfort zone. And but this country has a lot to offer in terms of opportunities. I believe I was very different person when I was back home in India, and 4 years almost in America have completely changed my professional image, even in front of myself. So I think just all the best to you guys, and stay in touch. If you need any sort of help, I'll be happy. I'm just a email away. It's just probably the weekends I can talk to you guys more than the weekdays. But if there's anything else I could help you with, I'll be uh, happy to help.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot,
All
man.
right.
Great work.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck. Yeah. Bye. Karan, I'm
Thank
talking about.
you.
I'm sending you an email about my fees. Okay. All right. All the best, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a
Thank
lot.
you.
Bye.